We're officially back from the break and we finally get a chapter. One Piece 1170 was a banger. Let's talk about it. So One Piece 1170 titled Contrary starts off with Loki fighting Ragnier at where we left off from 2 weeks ago. And as he's fighting Ragnier, try to discover what Ragnier is and where Ragnier is and if it was someone attacking him. The floor just crumbles under Ragnier. I guess Ragnier's sheer weight is so heavy that it breaks the entire castle floor, and then Loki's falling through that, and then Loki when he's falling, Loki when he's falling, he looks like he's doing the Gear 5 pose. I mean, it's just like a classic running pose, but at the end of the day, it's pretty sick stuff there. And I guess the reason why no one has eaten this devil fruit now has been confirmed by Herald or Emu, or Herald, whatever we want to call it, that the people who try to eat it actually cannot defeat Ragnier, and it is protected by Ragnier. So you have to be chosen by Ragnier in order to be able to eat this devil fruit, and that's why it hasn't been eaten so long. And this is where Skopper, Gaban, and Shanks come in to start defending Loki, so Loki can focus on his own thing, and Shanks and Gaban can hold off on Herald. And this is where we get a confirmation, but we get a confirmation, but I don't know if it was actually officially confirmed fully on. We had speculations and we had pretty much a confirmation, but this is like an official one where you need Conquerors Haki to defeat these Emu controlled beings and these regen abilities. So Conquerors Haki is just, I mean, Kaido has said this before, but Haki rules all. So as long as you have Conquerors Haki, you can do anything. I've seen a lot of negative approaches to this in the community where they're not really happy that it's like, Oonga boonga, yo, just use Conquerors Haki and you'll beat everything. Oh, you're not strong enough, just use Conquerors Haki. It's not enough, then use better Conquerors Haki. That seems to be where the story's going. I'm not in agreement. I think Oda has portrayed that Conquerors Haki is actually one of the most important abilities in the show, and it makes sense that the will of a king and the will of the leader is the one that's able to actually take down Emu. It just makes sense. So I don't know. I like it. I love it, actually. So it's a cool thing that Conquerors Haki is necessary in this. And, the Straw Hats just need to get better in Haki. None of them will get Conquerors Haki outside of maybe Sanji and maybe Usopp. But, the crew does need Haki at the end of the day. And I love this conversation between Shanks and Gaban, where Gaban knows the Holy Knight's weakness and Shanks is wondering why. And it's apparently due to the fact that as Shanks was on the Roger Pirates crew, they had to fight off the Holy Knights one time or another, like several times, Gaban says, which is so cool because this is Oda not forgetting the fact that there is a pirate that is named Shanks on the crew, and he has red hair, and no one's questioning, hey, this kind of looks like Shamrock back in the Holy Land. But no, this actually happened, The Holy Knights came after the Roger Pirates many times, and as Gaban said, they beat them black and blue, so they just beat the crap out of them and then went on with their days. Just love the fact that they added that addition and the fact that they protected Shanks so well. That was great stuff. And this actually connects to why Summers is familiar with Gaban and why Summers back in Elbaf was like, oh no, it's Gaban. And Gaban knew how to take down Summers. So the Oda's building these connections, which I really like. Also, just more on the conversation of the Holy Knights and Gaban. I like the fact that Gaban was surprised that there was a proper combat force within the Celestial Dragons, and they assumed that they were all chumps. And this is such a good thing that Oda brings up because I personally also felt like that. And when the Holy Knights got introduced, obviously we were like, whoa, there's the Holy Knights? Really? Celestial Dragons are more than just people that look like Charlos or Miosgard or anyone, right? So it was really cool to see that, and it's cool that the people of One Piece recognize that. And then further down that line too, Shanks also thinks about how this, what could have been my life if I wasn't taken away from the Holy Knights and the Holy Land, and what life I could have been. And he says, I shiver at just the thought, and Gaban's like, that's what we call fate. So just great interactions between Gaban and Shanks. I mean, I think Gaban has been a great guy. Rayleigh was kind of one of those big hits because it was an impact hit of first or second command of the Roger Pirates. It was a big hit, and then Gaban was kind of like a, so many years later, these things are just expected. But getting to know Gaban more and more is making me like the character more, so I like that a lot too. This is just great stuff, and Shanks and Gaban conversing with each other is great stuff here. And now we go back to Loki fighting Ragnier, and we get some great panels of Loki just smashing through, or smashing with his hammer into Ragnier, and his hammer getting smashed through. And then we find out that Ragnier is a squirrel. Now, this is interesting because I don't think it's just any squirrel. If you guys know about Norse mythology or anything, there is a rat in the Norse mythology who is like a mischievous messenger, and that is Ratatoskr. I'm going to butcher all these names. There's a lot of Norse mythologies that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to butcher a lot of these names. But Ratatoskr, I believe, is how you pronounce it. And just, mischievous squirrel makes sense for a partner with Loki as the god of mischief. So I like that. This also brings up the question, is Ragnier a squirrel originally that ate the whatever this fruit is that is able to hit stuff with hammers and summon lightning, or was it a hammer that ate the mythical squirrel fruit? I'm actually in the belief of the latter. I think this is actually a squirrel fruit, given that I think this is a technologically advanced weapon that is meant to summon lightning from the Void Century that was given a fruit, which really cool stuff that Oda's showing us that back then they were doing the things that we were only just able to achieve, proving that Egghead was actually the land of the past and not the land of the future. There's still remnants and stuff from the past that exists today that is furthering technology that we have only just reached in the One Piece world, in the present One Piece timeline. And now we get to the moment of truth, and my theory does get debunked, but I love that. I love when my theories are wrong because I'd rather Oda do something that I couldn't think about than actually do the thing that I was able to figure out. This is something that anyone could have thought about, obviously. It's just Loki ate the fruit, and it was this fruit, which, we don't get to see the fruit, which is interesting by Oda. Loki eats this fruit. You see Ragnier is acceptance of Loki as the eater of the fruit. And then we see the transformation. Oda blocks it out. Some crazy paneling with like eyes being shown. And then the fight with Herald with it. It's so dark how Oda showed it, right? It's like you don't get to see this creature, but you get to see its shadow just destroy Herald and hold Herald. That one panel where you get to see the body of the silhouette with Loki's horns coming out of whatever it is, and it's just holding Herald like that. It's so dark, but I love it so much. Now, there's multiple things that this can be. I think the first jump is Fenrir, the Norse mythological god, or not god, the wolf, and this is actually the son of Loki. Fenrir is the son of Loki, which there's some weird stuff that happened in Norse mythology that creates a dog for Loki as a Titan / whatever to have a dog son, but this could be Fenrir, right, the Norse mythological creature, or this can actually be I'm gonna mess this up again, Hati and Skoll, which are Hati or Skoll, because this is one wolf, right? And that is the wolf that chases the moon and the wolf that chases the sun. And Loki could have one or the other, which I actually like this idea, because if that is the case, there could be a scenario in which there's a counterpart to this devil fruit. So if Loki ate the Skoll fruit, right, the wolf fruit model Skoll, mythological Skoll, that is the wolf that chases the sun, right? Chases for Luffy or something. And then we got the other part, which the counterpart to it, which is the wolf fruit model, mythical type model Hati or Hati, which would be the wolf that chases the moon, and they are brothers and the sons of, or the children of Fenrir, which could be really cool because then Hajirden could eat that counterpart fruit, and now you got the two brothers with the fruits of the Hati and Skoll. And the whole Norse mythology is that basically once Hati reaches the moon, because they're chasing the moon, Hati's chasing the moon and Skoll is chasing the sun, and it's supposed to create the day and night cycle. And once Hati reaches moon and once Skoll reaches the sun and they finally connect with it, that is the beginning and the start of Ragnarok, which might be where Oda gets to lead us into the final war. And now Loki, changes out of his wolf form, and he wields up Ragnier and shows that he has Conquerors Haki, and Herald comments on that, and this is when we realize that Herald has his conscious back, and that's because the Covenant tattoo seems to be damaged from all the attacks he took from whatever Loki's devil fruit form is. And as it's regenerating, Herald has one last moment with his son and talks to him about it. And Herald is grateful for what Loki did for Ida, which was an amazing moment. I love this part because it shows that Herald's position doesn't allow him to protect Ida in the way he wanted to or to take revenge on it. But his son was able to do it, and he was grateful for that. I love that moment right there. But so yeah, so it seems like if you damage the Covenant tattoo, actually you get your memories back, or at least your conscience, which I don't know what that would mean for the future. Maybe that's how we get Gunko out of it. But yeah, that was just something interesting to see. And now we get what we can assume to be a masterful end from Oda for this flashback. And it's Loki, going in for the attack on Herald as he's shouting out a bunch of, comments that are negative towards his father. And all Herald has to say is, I love you too, son. As Loki connects with Ragnier on Herald, and Herald just explodes into a million pieces. Just literally just shatters and cracks. And, when Ragnier strikes, lightning strikes as well, as we've seen in present day One Piece. And then we see Loki crying, and just the character writing of Herald and Loki being so tragic. We've had so many tragic characters in One Piece, but the writing of Loki and Herald have been so wonderful. And Loki, ever since birth, Loki couldn't catch a break. But we can, ladies and gentlemen, we can, because as we gotten off a break week, we are going into another break week. So that is 1170 for One Piece. Phenomenal chapter. Love this chapter very much. If you guys agree, disagree, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know your favorite parts of this chapter, and like, comment, subscribe, everything else. I will catch you guys for 1171 in 2 weeks from today, unfortunately. But I will try to come out with a video for next week to see what we can discuss. Maybe we can further dive into that Fenrir, Fenris, or Hati or Skoll theory on what Loki's Delphi powers will be. But great chapter overall. Love being back. 2026, I hope we have an amazing year for One Piece, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you.